Here, like usual, Gigi's got the mic. I'll be bringing it around. For those on Zoom that have joined, thanks for joining. If you have a question, please go ahead and hit that raise hand function button. Maz, I saw you first, so we'll kick off with you front row.
Hey, Brian. So, you got to score goals to win, and obviously today, what was going on in the final third? And I know you haven't looked at the film, but just first impressions.
Well, Raul had a couple good looks. There was a cross late, Cody, Danny Masowski. There was a play in the first half. Obed gets down in the prime assist zone. Raul's sprinting to the near post. Jordan's not getting in front of his guy. Christian, that shot that he takes, it goes over the bar, a cleaner first touch out in front of him. He can hit it on frame. Need to get Albert involved more. There was a few reasons. Sloppy. Look, Josh, I took him off. He wasn't feeling good. He was a little under the weather, sick. He's normally good for one or two chances. But, we just didn't get it done. And I need the senior players to, even though they're tired, it was a long trip, they need to persevere. And when those guys, I felt they couldn't do it, we put a bunch of young guys on there, and they provided some energy. But, you got to balance that with quality. So we're going to work on it, Maz, and we'll get it right.
Ryan, lack of conviction and courageousness inside the box? Is that fair to say?
Well, it's life or death inside the box, Maz. It's life or death. That's the way I look at it.
Go Jeremiah, then Jose. Thanks.
Yeah, I guess, how do you assess this result? Obviously, I can't imagine this is what you wanted. It's not a... you need to start getting wins at home, especially. How do you sort of manufacture the urgency there?
Well, look, it's not the result we wanted. A good team, that's what I tell them, is look, guys that start, go out, and they run, and they sprint, and they play as best they can for as long as they can. And if they're tired, then the next guy comes on and does the same thing. And so that's what needs to happen. And obviously there's guys that have done the job. Some of the guys I just mentioned. And maybe they were off tonight. Maybe they didn't finish. I forgot Leo Chu's chance there at the end. He gets it on frame. It's a goal. So those guys got to produce. And, it's just, it's not good enough.
Go over to Jose.
Brian, Oeds seemed pretty dangerous today. Yeah, he seemed like he was really a big part of the build-up to the offense. Is there anything that you noticed differently today from the week?
I think we've all been noticing Obed for the last 4 or 5 games. I think the kid's super talented. He's on a high note. He's going on a high note. Kid's ceiling is still higher. Jose, I would say that he can give us more, but the kid's playing really at a high level.
All right, we'll come around to this side of the room, starting in the front row. We'll go Jada, then Nico.
Thank you. One is just an observation, Brian. You're a little bit more abusive to your pen today. Is that how is that?
Way to notice that.
Yeah. Is that can you is that related to the game or?
It's just frustration, Jada. We're a good team. We have some really talented players in there, and we just got to get them to believe that they can score and believe that they can win.
And then the second thing was, do you feel that you want to substitute a little bit sooner, as you're saying, like some of the senior players, like if you're not getting enough, do you think that that's something that you could maybe do yourself as far as getting the other players on a little sooner?
I can talk about that, Jada, because look, throughout the course of my career, I've been a little bit more on the conservative side. I get guys that I believe deserve to start, and I'm loyal maybe to a fault, and tonight was one of those nights where I just didn't see it coming. And look, I took Albert off, I took JP off, I took Jordan off, and some of the young kids that got on the field, got some playing time, were able to showcase some of their skills. And so again, it'll be balanced. I'm not going to sit there and go completely 180 from who I am, but certainly if You know, look, if Georgie can play like that, you know, if Reed can play like that, if Obed continues, you know, we've got some talented young kids.
Nico?
I was going to ask something along the same lines. I mean, it did seem like your substitution patterns, you did everything you could to impact the game from the bench. Is that fair to say?
Well, it didn't work. We tried. I mean, we try every game, but again, you know, having belief in the entire roster, it's something, you know, we have to do.
Going into a 4-4-2, is that what ended up being? And how do you feel like that worked?
It started a little bit Masoski out here, but then that wasn't working. We changed it strict 4-4-2. I brought Christian in the middle with Obed because they got good range. They can cover that. Sometimes 4-4-2, you lose the middle of the field. But having two wide guys, two wingers with two forwards, we were hoping we could get something.
All right, we'll go second row here. Go to Michael.
Hey, Brian.
Good
So,
catch.
thank you, Nico. So, Leo Chu going to the game had a goal and assist in the last two games. Why didn't he get the start over Jordan? I understand Obed starting on the right. He's been fantastic, but Leo Chu seemed like he's in good form leading up to it, but he's still on the bench.
Well, Leo Chu might be on the stats board, but game is offense and defense. It's got to be complete. And, you know, it's a tough decision. Well, we got, again, like I said, we've got plenty of talented kids. So in this game, I just felt with Obed playing as well as he has, he has the closest profile to Christian. So that seemed like a logical choice.
All right, we'll go right here.
I noticed Christian started at right back, and at the beginning of the game, he seemed to be going up further, and then after about 20 minutes or so, he was further back for the rest of his time at right back until he moved to the middle. But was that sort of the plan for Christian, and what exactly was the plan for Christian at right back? It isn't his usual position, but I wanted to get your thoughts on that.
The way we play in our 3-2 build, the right back has to be the highest and widest guy out on the right-hand side. He was able to do it, but then when the team doesn't consistently have extended periods of possession, it's hard for a guy to get up and down, up and down, up and down, because he has to defend as well. So it just was a symptom of us not being able to extend our possessions.
Anything else on this side of the room? All right, we'll come over back here. Yeah, Hector, we'll go your way next. And then I see a couple follow-ups.
Coach, you mentioned a little bit about Obed. What do you make of his progression throughout the season? And what are some of the things that you asked him to do today? And how would you rate his performance? Thank you.
Well, I think Obed and Josh have been good for each other. You know, Danny Leyva right behind them. Sota, got some kids on Defiance that are good in that area of the field. I think they all push themselves. Obed has, you know, he's a competitive guy. Didn't like it last year when I picked Josh in front of him. And so you're seeing some of that determination, some of that mindset that I like, that he's going to do whatever it takes to make sure that he makes that job his own. And so for him and his progression, I think the last thing, and it comes with a little more experience, maybe a little bit more seasoning, that's the right word I want to use, you know, that final pass. So the final pass, the slip pass that he did against Montreal to Christian, you know, that was the pace of that pass, executed well. You know, there were a couple times tonight he was breaking forward and his final pass wasn't quite there. I mean, we were this close. And so I think some of those things he just needs to improve on in general, and he'll be even better.
All right, we'll do a couple more. Jose, I know you had one.
Coach, Georgie has been working his way back into the opportunity to gain some minutes today. I feel he rewarded you by pushing forward and really, creating a disruption on that side. Is that the same thing that you saw?
Yeah. And he'll get a shot on Wednesday, and we'll see. Kid's going to – look, that kid's super excited. And he's good buddies with Nuhu, and those guys were, so happy. You could tell Nuhu was trying to get him the ball. That was a positive for me, for sure.
All right, Maz, over to you.
Brian, going back to, I would say, whether it's the 4-4-2 or in the middle, there, it just seems like there's a lack of options for the ball carrier, there's nobody to square or nobody's running to create that space, and that's causing your lack of possession. I mean, I'd go basic triangle. It seems like a lot of the time.
Maybe.
Am I seeing
I'd
that
have to
wrong?
watch the tape. I'd have to watch it. Look, I thought in the first half, Maz, our consistent technical ability under pressure is one of the things I got from Bruce Arena a long time ago. That's what, at the highest levels, it's consistent technical ability under pressure. And we didn't have that tonight. There were moments where we were just sloppy. Again, the loose touch, the ball, the pace of the pass, in front to his front foot instead of his back foot. I think that was more than the tactical setup of things. I thought it was more just us not being sharp.
Because to that vein also, even when you stole the ball, that pass you like to go forward
Okay.
wasn't there.
Well, that comes down to two things, Maz. As you defend, your vision has to be good. I mean, somebody asked me about active defending the other day. It's the same thing, defense to the attack. As you're defending, I need to know where Raul Ruidiaz is. As I'm defending and putting pressure on the ball, I need to know where Jordan Morris is. And so when I recover the ball, if I recover the ball, my first pass can go forward. And so I didn't think that was quite as good. Or, it felt to me like they were playing safe. They'd win possession of the ball and they'd been defending, so they want to just keep the ball. Sometimes that wasn't the best pass. It was an okay pass, but it wasn't the best pass.
Jeremiah.
Yeah, we've talked about this repeatedly over the last few weeks, but are you at a point now where you have to start making some changes, or where do you start? You're clearly frustrated with the performances, and I guess at what point do you start, actually putting that into effect in terms of personnel changes?
Well, look, I have a lot of confidence in the group, a lot of confidence in the players. I think we have a good team. Another bad performance, yes, adds to that ticking clock. Jeremiah, I hear you. Let me assess the game. Let me just see, was it the heavy legs from a East Coast trip where the guys put a lot into it? Was it something that we did at training? We didn't get them, we have this beautiful facility in Long Acres, and, we need to make sure that we use all of that, all the data, the science. Let me think that through. Again, I'll go back to my conservative side of me. But yes, clock is ticking. Fair comment.
We'll close with final two. Felipe, I see your hand on Zoom. Please go ahead and ask your question.
Thank you, Alex. Coach Brian, I would like to know your opinion on the performance of the last minutes of the team as a group. When you end up with a few younger players, you including Georgie, Minogo, and Oeds, of course, Oeds, Baker, Whitting, and the other guys, would like to know, and also if this could be the beginning of a new phase of the Seattle Sound.
Well, look, I was pleased with the young players that came on the field and gave you the energy, the enthusiasm. Georgie's dribbling is 1v1. All of that was very positive. Young players can win you games. Sometimes you have to measure that with experienced players win you championships. It's getting the balance right, Felipe. It's maybe to Jeremiah's question there, is the balance right? Do we have enough fresh, young guys that are hungry versus some of the senior guys that have done it for a long time? We'll assess that.
Diego, last one to you.
Buenas. El equipo mejoró bastante el día de hoy, sobre todo en la parte de actitud. Salieron y se vio, sobre todo en el segundo tiempo, las ganas de llevarse los 3 puntos. Del 1 al 10, ¿cómo calificaría el rendimiento del equipo en este juego?
The team improved today, especially on their attitude. During the second half, you could see how there was a very strong desire to actually get the 3 points. From 1 to 10, how would you qualify the performance of the team today?
Well, again, I like to assess things in a little calmer fashion. right now. Emotions sometimes get in your way. The team doesn't quit. The team tries. It's whether the quality is there. In those moments when you're under pressure, can you make the right pass? Can you defend well? Can you, when you have maybe one chance, you have one chance to help your team, you have to be mentally strong enough to make that one chance be the goal. So it's a little unfair for me to put a ranking on it. There's certainly frustration from myself and people in that locker room, but that's, just shows that we care, and we're going to keep trying.
Todavía me gustaría revisar más con calma el partido. En este momento, por supuesto, hay emociones ahorita que están influenciando mi visión, pero el equipo es un equipo que claramente no se rinde. Pero además de no rendirte, hay que mejorar en ciertos aspectos la calidad de cómo tomamos una oportunidad y la podemos convertir o no. Y eso es algo en lo que vamos a seguir trabajando para que no haya frustraciones y para seguir mejorando.
Thanks all. Locker room's open.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, guys.